Hello and welcome. In this video, we will discover 12 things poor people do that the rich don't. In the world we live in, there are always going to be two kinds of society social groups, the rich and the poor. There are many differences between each of these types of people that people are not usually aware of. Of course, everyone is familiar with the difference that one is rich and the other one is poor, but the biggest distinction between these two types of people is that the rich obtain assets while the poor obtain liabilities. An asset is a possession of value that is within your ownership, money that does the work for you. A liability is something you obtain but has no value and can even start taking the value away from you. Some examples of an asset are real estate properties, mutual funds, stock bonds, and corporations. Assets are investments that actually earn an income. This could be a healthy stock portfolio that is earning returns, a valuable antique, or a rental property that is making a profit. Rich people are focused on growing their collection of assets so that they can continue to make more money. More often than not, rich people live a modest lifestyle until they are earning a healthy income from their assets. Then, and only then, do they begin splurging on luxuries. A liability is something that increases your expenses and diminishes your profit. It holds you back or brings you completely down, depending on how bad the liability is. Some examples of liabilities are a new car, a big house, all the luxuries, and toys. Poor people continue to buy luxury items thinking that it somehow holds value, when it really becomes worthless over time. Poor people do not fully understand the real definition of an asset. They might think that their car is an asset because it is an item that holds value. However, it's actually a liability because it continues to depreciate in value year after year. It also needs money to keep up with repairs. Same goes with owning a house. Let's find out things that poor people do that the rich don't. But just before, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to download your free book on financial freedom by clicking on the link in the description below. Poor people watch a lot of TV. One common trait among all poor people is that they watch a lot of TV. They might come home from work and immediately turn on the television. They may also be the same people who are binge-watching a series on Netflix on a regular basis. For a lot of people, watching television and movies is a way for them to escape the reality. This is the key to the difference between the rich and the poor. Instead of looking for an escape, rich people are trying to find solutions and keep moving forward. Shows do not actually educate or add any value to your life. Rich people often work long hours and realize that watching TV is simply a waste of time unless the information is somehow relevant to their lives. Focusing on obstacles rather than opportunities. Poor people will look at a lofty goal and think, wow, that's going to be so difficult. They begin to think about all the obstacles that are ahead of them. Sometimes the anxiety can be overwhelming and they give up before they even get started. This is why so many poor people never even try to go after their dreams. If they are afraid of failure, they will miss out on opportunities. Rich people, on the other hand, don't worry too much about the obstacles. They may say, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's not necessary to know exactly how every step of the process is going to play out. Think about some of the greatest innovators like Henry Ford and Elon Musk. The ideas of the machines they wanted to create did not exist yet, but they had a vision and a willingness to keep trying. Every obstacle is just an opportunity in disguise. Taking out credit cards. Poor people tend to care a lot more about owning a lot of stuff. It feels great in the short term. Many people even get themselves into debt because they're determined to have the newest iPhone, purse, or video games. We're not saying that rich people never take out credit. They do, but there is a huge difference in how they use it. Most of the time, they are going to earn more money from their investment than what they borrowed. A great example of this is Graham Stephan. On his YouTube channel, he goes over the steps to how he uses mortgages to fully take advantage of his real estate investments. Technically, he is in debt, but the income he earns from being a landlord makes it so that the mortgages are being paid by his tenants. Over time, he has accumulated millions of dollars in real estate. Borrowing money was necessary for him to get started, but he made it well worth it in the end. Get-rich-quick schemes. Poor people are far more likely to fall for get-rich-quick schemes. In today's world, we're used to getting instant gratification. Everything we want to know is available online from our phones. People who are raised in today's world seem to expect the rise to wealth to happen just as quickly. More often than not, they end up falling for a multi-level marketing company or a pyramid scheme. A salesperson tries to pitch the idea that you can make a ton of money by selling a product to family and friends. A rich person would never fall for this kind of scheme because they have educated themselves on finance and business. They would see a red flag from a mile away. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. The rich understand that it takes a very long time to make money. There is no such thing as an overnight success, and get rich quick is a fantasy. Poor people are really into sports. Similar to watching a lot of television, poor people tend to be huge sports fans. They even go as far as to buy team gear. It often becomes a party with family and friends. Some people will even go as far as to fight with one another in a bar simply because they like a different team. When you think about it, the whole thing is a bit silly. There's very little benefit people get from watching sports aside from the fact that it is an escape from their day-to-day reality. Rich people know that they have far better things to do than follow a sport. The only people who truly have a real reason to watch sports are people who also play the game themselves. For example, if you play tennis every weekend as a means of networking, then it may pay off. Or, if you are on the basketball team because you earned an athletic scholarship that is paying for your tuition, it would make sense. Even then, they may just watch the highlights rather than wasting hours watching every game. Never talk about money with their kids. Plenty of poor kids have heard their parents argue about money. From an early age, kids associate having a lot of money with happiness and a lack of money with misery. And in many cases, parents might get divorced if it becomes a big enough issue. Most kids have no idea how much money their parents make or how they are handling household finances. Poor parents simply may not want to talk about it. This makes kids ill-equipped to understand how the real world works, and they're more likely to continue the cycle of poverty. Rich parents, on the other hand, are willing to discuss money with their children. They understand that financial education is incredibly important for a person's success. From an early age, rich parents will explain to their children how people earn an income. They might also go to the grocery store and explain how they can save money on various products. Discussing that is also crucial to making sure that your children do not make major mistakes. Spending money before they get it. We've already talked about credit cards on this list. Poor people tend to spend money before they get it. Leading up to their paycheck, they are thinking about everything they want to buy. After all of the bills are paid and the weekend is over, the bank account balance has suddenly dropped. Poor people also immediately begin taking out loans as soon as they get a new job or a promotion. By living this way, they can never escape poverty. Rich people, on the other hand, have mastered the art of saving. They will wait until they have actually earned enough cash to make a purchase. Borrowing money on a credit card would only cost more with interest, so they know that it would be a waste of money. And if they cannot afford what they want, then they try to figure out how to earn more money so they can afford those luxuries. Believe other people should help them. Poor people think that someone owes them something. They often believe that they deserve a handout simply because they were born. Many poor people assume that the rich were handed a big break from someone else. This is one of the reasons why poor people fall for pyramid schemes. They assume that the person who is willing to give them the help they deserve has finally showed up in their life. In reality, no one offers you help or mentorship unless they see you are already putting in the work. Rich people understand they are not entitled to anything. They know that when it comes to starting a business, they are the only person they can expect to do the work. Even if they grew up in a wealthy family, they realize that you need to earn what you have. In fact, growing up with successful parents makes many people push themselves very hard. And if someone comes along promising to help them in some way, they are cautious to accept it. No one usually offers you help unless they want something out of it. They don't invest in themselves. Nowadays, we hear a lot about self-care. People think that by getting a manicure or styling their hair, it means that they are investing in themselves. While your outward appearance is surely a part of it, there is so much more to investing in yourself if you want to be rich. The rich go deeper with learning new skills and increasing their value as a person. Ask yourself, do I hold value? As in, are you the type of employee that is so good at their job they are indispensable to a company? Or are you just one of the many people who could easily be replaced overnight? If you feel like you are just one of the crowd, start to invest in yourself by spending time to learn new skills. Be the best you can be and continue to grow as a person no matter what age you are. They stay at the wrong job. If you are poor, it is more than likely that you have had at least one experience working at a terrible job. Unfortunately, far too many people stay at a bad job for years, even though they know it makes them miserable. People usually do this when they feel desperate or that they can't get anything better. People who eventually become rich never settle for being treated poorly by their boss or being underpaid. They decided to find a new place to work. Remember that whatever job you choose should be in line with your career goals. And during an interview, you should be asking questions just as much as they are asking you. Try to think about where you want to be in the next 5 years. We're not suggesting that you quit your job immediately. It's much better to send out your resume and go on interviews while you're still employed. Once you get a new job, then you can put in your 2-week notice to the job that you hate. Remember that successful people never settle for less. They go after their dreams. They think about themselves. Poor people only think about themselves instead of looking at the big picture. If you want to be rich, you need to think about what you can do for the world. Think about some of the most wealthy and powerful people. How did they get that way? By thinking about the big picture, they were able to create wealth. Poor people will usually make their own desires their number one priority. They are so focused on their own problems that they cannot see past themselves in order to launch a successful venture. This is one of the many reasons why many businesses fail. They are launching a product or service that would be great for them and not necessarily for the customer or audience. If you want to be rich, ask yourself how you can use your skills to help the world. Once you are on this trajectory, you just might find success. They rush to buy during huge sales like Black Friday. There are so many people who decide to follow the herd by shopping on Black Friday. While it's true that there are some great sales, it's actually possible to buy those items at similar prices during other times of the year. So by going out in the middle of the night on Thanksgiving, you are really just giving in to what these huge corporations hope you will do. More often than not, you'll end up wasting money on sales rather than saving. This mindset also applies to regular sales too. When someone waits for something to go on sale before they buy it, they are essentially settling for second best. We all know what it's like to go to a store once everything is on clearance and realize that all of the clothing items left on the rack are simply the worst style. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and especially subscribe to the channel. You're also free to receive the new book, 5 Steps to Reach Financial Freedom, by clicking on the link in the description below the video.